Hello, dear friends. Hello, welcome. Hello. Sorry we're a few minutes late. Had some internet issues. You're probably not here yet, but you got the notification that we're live, so I'll wait a few seconds. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry for the slightly late start. Had some technical difficulties, but we are here. We are happy we're here. If you're just joining us, say hi. Let us know you're here. Hey, Hank. Always like a new face. I don't think I've seen you, but welcome, welcome. Yeah, Deirdre in the house. Erica's here. Yeah, no, it was on our end. We had a internet issue, so we are good now. We are live. So if you're just joining us, welcome. Always take a couple of minutes to get in and get situated. So please let me know you're here. Say hello, where you're from, all the good stuff. Oh, I just had a bunch of comments light up. Hi, Amy. Hi, Carol and Jenna. Good to see you. Dania, I think that's right. Hi, Dania. It's nice to see you. Oh, the question. Good idea. I was trying to think of a St. Patrick's Day question. Hi, Roan. Hey, Chad in the house. Dave is in the house. Amy. Yeah, I was trying to think of a St. Patrick's Day question, but I don't know. Nothing came to mind for some weird reason. Uh, Houston. That is my hometown. Love seeing some new faces tonight. So if you're just joining us, we'll get started momentarily. Oh, Rhonda. Okay, got it. Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate it. Sabrina having health issues and health OCD. Understand. Well, we look forward to talking to you. Eileen in New York. So if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. Please say hi. Let us know you're here. Or I say us, like there's a bunch of people here right now. Let me know you're here. Um, and yeah, what's the question? I didn't think of a question, did I? I was trying to think of something St. Patrick's related, and I couldn't think of anything, and now we don't have a question. But that's okay, because we'll probably have lots of questions and get to lots of questions and lots of answers. So let me just jump into the quick housekeeping, and then we can dive right in since we're running a few minutes late. So as I said before, if you're just joining us, say hi. Let me know you're here and where you're from, and we'll get to the conversation momentarily. So if you don't know me, my name is Ethan. I'm a national advocate for the International OCD Foundation, which simply means I have OCD, and I'm going to talk about it until we make some changes, which we are doing. This community conversation is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. The International OCD Foundation is not a crisis hotline. If you are in a crisis or ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room. You can call 911 or 988 Suicide and Crisis Hotline or Lifeline by dialing 988. Also, we want to create a safe space and be kind and respectful to everyone. At the end of the day, we're all here to support one another. And I know this is being broadcast on several social media platforms and is being recorded. So keep that in mind as you ask questions and comments and weigh in. But again, we try to keep this as safe and personal as we possibly can. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Oh, that's a great question, Leanne. Okay, so while we're jumping in, Leanne's question. I don't know, Fran, if you want to post this. I love this question. If you could jump into a pool of something, what would it be? Is it weird? The first thing that came to mind was banana pudding. So that's my answer. Banana pudding. I love that question. That was a good one. I'm in. So yeah, feel free to answer. If you could jump into a pool of something, what would it be? Weigh in. Let's hear it. Thank you, Leanne, for the creativity tonight. Coming in hot. Oh, Erica's with. Hey, Erica. Erica's with me. Pudding, but we need the flavor, Erica. Yeah, banana pudding. I love pudding. Oh, I've gotten into a pudding habit. Anyway, so I hope everyone's doing great. It's been a minute. We do every other Tuesday, but sometimes the way the calendars line up, I do one, and then it's a 3-week break until the second and fourth calendar. Chocolate. I think chocolate would be a great thing to dive into. Water. That's fair, Deirdre. I think that's reasonable. A few people will stick with water. Mushroom gravy with schnitzel floaties. I like it. It's a bit of a German twist, no? But I'm down. I could get into that. Like, if you're gonna dive into something savory, I feel like that may be the way to go. Chad, I'm in. Vanilla ice cream, warm goat milk. I feel like that would be very relaxing. Pepsi. I don't that may be the one I'm not feeling. I'm more of a Coke product guy. But I respect and validate your choice of Pepsi. Mashed potatoes with butter and a bit of salt. I think that's in my top 3 of things I'd want to jump into too. I think mashed potatoes always look fun. I kind of and even a little bit of garlic. This is a great question, Leanne. Thank you for crushing it. All right. With all of that, how's everyone doing tonight? Fill me in. Let me know how you are. How's your Chuck E. Cheese ball pit? uh I feel like I wouldn't jump in one of those now. If I knew then what I knew now, what I know now, I don't know that I'd jump in. I guess in a post-COVID, do they even still have the ball pit in a post-COVID era? But yeah. Uh, ew, exactly. Uh, Hey, Kayli. I have not yet been able to say hi or answer the question at the beginning of a live stream. I've always given into OCD. Let's change that tonight. Absolutely. So, Kayli, what would you, if you could jump into anything into a pool, what would it be? Um, hey, Betsy in Philadelphia. All right. Well, we have a great group tonight. Let's bring on the discomfort. So, hello, welcome. I'm so glad we're all going to bring on the discomfort for sure. So how's everyone doing? Let me know how you are. I definitely have some topics we can talk about. But as always, I want to give you opportunities to ask questions. And so what's been on your mind? I can definitely start a topic and get it going, but at least like to take the first few couple of minutes and see if it just kind of gets going organically and you have things that are important to you or you want to talk about or a question that's been burning that you've been wanting to ask. So also, I don't remember. I'm good. Thank you for asking. Everything's pretty good. I think. I mean, an interesting weekend. It was a fun weekend, but I definitely had some kind of like I don't know. I was a little sad this weekend. I just every once in a while I would jump into a pool of cool water. I'm down. It always feels very refreshing, doesn't it? It's freezing at first, but then you're like, oh, I'm awake and life is okay. Um, I like that, Christy. I'm learning to replace OCD with fun. I could get down with that for sure. So yeah, I'm doing well, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, this weekend was interesting. It was a good weekend. I had a good weekend, but sometimes I get a bit reflective and start thinking about my past and I mean, this is all normal stuff, but maybe you can relate. I start thinking about my past and where I've come from and where I'm going and what life would have been like if, OCD hadn't taken up so much of my life prior to getting better. And I think we can all relate to sort of grieving our lives and thinking about what if I didn't have it, where would I be? What would I be doing? Um, and that comes up for me every now and again. And it definitely came up for a variety of reasons. Um, this weekend. And so I've definitely, yeah, for sure, Chad. Um, and I don't know. I think I wouldn't even at least in my case, I don't know that I immediately jump to, you know, um, ruminating. In the sense that I think sometimes being reflective and just analyzing and thinking about things is okay. I mean, yes, you can definitely get stuck in a cycle of wishing and wondering and, you know, um, but for me it was really just asking questions about you know what if things had been different and how things would have played out. And sometimes it's occasionally comforting, at least personally, to spend some time in my past. And by time I mean like if I'm laying in bed going to sleep or just kind of reflecting back and thinking about things. But definitely just I appreciate that, Matt. um Thank you for saying that. No, 100%. And when I say like, thinking about my past and where I would have come from, where I would be and all those things, I think the beautiful part about therapy and treatment and also advocacy and having conversations with such amazing people like you, it gives you the perspective to recognize that you wouldn't be where you are if it hadn't been for your journey. And so, I'm here now speaking to you. I'm engaged to Katie. My work is the most amazing, in a place that I never thought it'd been. I'm just doing all kinds of things that I would have never imagined, and that's all a product of my journey, right? So I'm insanely grateful for all of that. But also, you might wonder, um, you know, or wish, oh well, I wish I were here, but it were 10 years ago. I wish I were doing this at 34, or 33, and had 10 more years, and so forth and so on. And I think it's okay to fantasize about those things too. I really do. I think it's okay to wish and wonder, and as long as you're not living in the past, I think you can be angry as long as it's not dictating your actions and the majority of your emotions, right? So I'll give you specifics, if that helps. And I don't want to make sure I didn't skip anybody's questions. Um, Been decluttering in preparation for moving. I have such OCD, decision fatigue, overwhelm. I need better strategies. Deborah, give yourself some self-compassion around moving. Moving stresses me out. And I know for most people, moving is very stressful. And so, yes, maybe there's some OCD involved, maybe there isn't, but like give yourself some love around the moving thing. I think moving is stressful. It always stresses me out. And I think a move is coming up here in the next year as Katie and I relocate, probably staying in the area, but different part of town. And so, give yourself some grace on the moving thing. Erica wrote, I'm being feeling a bit down as well. Just going to keep moving in advocacy. Sometimes it feels like not really doing enough, etc. But that's for a different conversation. Maybe I relate to you, Erica, for sure. And and I have a few thoughts on that, and maybe that is a conversation. But I think that listen, our default emotion is not joy, um, and there's a really good book written by a guy named Todd Kashdan called The Upside of Your Dark Side. And it's about kind of embracing all of your emotions and what role all of your emotions play outside of joy and happiness. And it's a really interesting read. Um, and I found it really interesting because it forced me to look at my emotions differently and why different emotions occur and the benefits of them. And so I don't necessarily mind um, some different feelings and emotions. I know yesterday felt a lot like trudging through maple syrup. It was like every step felt like an ordeal. But I could look back and go, I had a really productive day, and that's okay. That's okay to feel kind of icky and do what I need to do anyway. Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Um, and thank you for the kind words as well. Um, I'm just now catching back up to the no, Ron, absolutely. Like we're all in agreement about the journey, and where I wouldn't change where I am for the world at all. I wouldn't go back and change anything, you know, um, none of that. I think that I think that you can't help but wonder sometimes, and occasionally, I think it's healthy to say, your brain is going to have thoughts of what if, and I mean not what if thoughts about OCD, but what if I never had OCD? What if I were able to do X, Y, and Z at this age? What would have happened? The reality is, it's very easy to assume our life would have turned out a certain way if, right? But we have no certainty around. It's a fantasy of what we think our life would have been like if, right? And I used to believe that fantasy quite a bit, especially when I got better, right when I got better. And for the first couple of years after that, I was so angry. I was so angry at my past. I was so angry at missing. Um, and suffering. I'll speak to that in a second. I agree. I was so angry at all the time I had missed, and I think that is so valid because in my mind it was like, well, if it hadn't have been that way, then I would have done this at 18, I would have done this at 25, I would have been here at 29, and then I'd be at this place right now, right? And in reality, I have no idea if that's how anything would have played out. I could have moved out to Los Angeles at 18 and gotten hit by a bus. I mean, I say that jokingly, but it's entirely possible. So I think we have these ideals of what life would have been like, if, and there's absolutely no way of knowing. if that's the way life would have turned out or not. So I think that, I'll stick with where I am and what I'm doing, and I'm eternally grateful and blessed for everything that I have and doing and where I'm at. Absolutely. Um, on your comment, suffering, I wrote, suffering wrote, I would change things. I wish I never had OCD. You know, I do too. I mean, like if we could go back and not have OCD, that would be awesome. I don't think there's anybody here that wants to have OCD. Um, but I just mean if I had OCD, and this was my journey to be here, I wouldn't have changed anything about my journey. Being born with OCD, if that's a certainty, and then the journey brought me to this moment, I don't know that I'd want it any differently, no matter how painful it was or how many years I went without treatment. It sucked for sure. And if I had to go back and redo it again, um, I don't know, but I'm grateful for the journey, because I'm here. And you don't. I think everything happens in its right time. It just does. I think things happen when they're supposed to. And, had I met Katie 10 years ago, had I done X, Y, and Z at this time, there's no guarantee or rhyme or reason that it would have worked out or it wouldn't have worked out or whatever. So I think everything is the way it's supposed to be. And I can appreciate that for sure. But no, I think everybody here, you know, if they had an opportunity to take a pill tomorrow and their OCD would go away, we'd all be down with that, So, nothing wrong with not wishing you didn't have OCD for sure. Uh, and that's true, Betsy. That's such a great point. And I was talking to my therapist today about this. Betsy wrote, even people without OCD say, if I could have done that differently. And I think that's also what I'm kind of getting at. I'm kind of rambling here a little bit, but um, so much of what we assume is OCD is just the human experience. So, I was talking to my therapist today about spending time with some friends over the weekend, and my friends our couple of friends are a lot younger than I am, because Katie is younger, about 12 years younger than I am. And I was sitting there at the dinner table thinking, oh, I wish I were 12 years younger. I wish, God, I'm this much older, and if I had this much more time and all that stuff. But then I was talking to my therapist about it today, and she's like, well, I met my husband in my mid 30s, and I don't have OCD, and I also wonder, and all my friends got married in their 20s. And so, yes, to your point, I think I think that is a normal human experience to wonder if and when and had it been differently and would things have changed. And our story is maybe just involving OCD, but it is not unique to any individuals with OCD for sure. um I love what everybody's writing, and the kind words. Bradley wrote, feeling down, trying to address my OCD after 26 years of trying to ignore it and pretend I didn't have it. Finally reached out to my doctor and to a psychologist. Any advice for someone trying to cope with OCD, checking stoves, water taps, log? Yes, 100%. So Bradley, first of all, congratulations on taking a huge, brave step forward. It is not easy to, acknowledge or admit, and there's a million reasons why we want to push it back down, from, not understanding ourselves to feeling stigmatized by the world and the people around us. Whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, it's very hard to admit to yourself, that I have a mental illness. It's not fun. It's not something we necessarily want to say. And because of the role mental illness plays in society, it's highly stigmatized. So it's not like saying I have cancer, you know. Um, I feel like I would have less guilt if I had to say that, or less embarrassment. But immediately, if even saying I have mental illness now, there's still like a slight ickiness to when I say that, going like, that sounds weird. I hope nobody judges me for that. So that's huge, first of all. And I'm so glad that you reached out to your doctor and to a psychologist. The first piece of advice I'll give you, Bradley, is the gold standard for treatment is called exposure and response prevention. It's a highly effective treatment for OCD. And it's an evidence-based treatment. So the first thing as you start out is to make sure that your psychologist is proficient in exposure and response prevention. It is a sub treatment of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. So there's lots of therapists that do cognitive behavioral therapy, but that don't do exposure and response prevention. So if you go to a therapist and they go, oh, I do CBT, that doesn't mean that that's the right treatment for OCD. So you want to specifically ask for, do you do ERP? Have you been trained in exposure and response prevention? If so, where? Don't hesitate to. In fact, I'll have Fran. We have a great article, and I don't know how long you've been with your psychologist, Bradley, but I couldn't be more emphatic with this. So many people spend so much time and waste so much time and money, doing talk therapy or other types of therapy that are wonderful therapies, but they're not right for OCD. And that was my story, and it's so many people's story. So we'll post a link to an article that's a great sort of interview questions for therapists to help us land on a therapist that would be most beneficial to treating our own OCD. So that's the first thing, is finding a clinician that does ERP and the right treatment. I went to 10 clinicians that didn't do the right treatment and I got sicker. So that's the first step. Second step is learning about the disorder, OCD education. There's so many great resources on the IOCDF website. You can read about what it is, how it impacts. The biggest thing is, though, knowing you're not alone. I mean, I could literally spend 8 hours talking on this subject. Your question that you asked me, any advice for someone trying to cope with OCD? It's a big question. But the first thing I want you to know is you're not alone. As you can see by this group of people here, it is not, you can have a big, beautiful, gorgeous life. With OCD, you can learn to manage it successfully, no different than somebody manages diabetes, or anything like that. So no, there's not a cure for it as of right now, but learning to manage it successfully, you can live a pretty amazing life. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't flare up every now and again, but it is okay that it does. You get through it and you move on. So the first thing is, give yourself lots of grace and self-compassion. Don't try not to stigmatize yourself for having a disorder or a disease. It's not a decision. You're not choosing this, and know that you're not alone, and that there are many, many, many millions, in fact, of people suffering with OCD, whether they know it or not. And this is just a small sampling of it, but we're all in it together. And individuals with OCD are the kindest, smartest, most brilliant people I know, most creative people I know, hands down. So welcome to the group. Welcome to the, I'm glad you found the foundation and the live stream. I'll give out my email at the end if you want to touch base, Bradley, but we're here as much as we can be to support and guide. And so welcome. Thank you. And I'm sure everybody will weigh in as well in the comments. So Holly wrote, did you happen to watch The Good Doctor last night? If so, what do you think about the portrayal of OCD? So I have to watch it. I know about The Good Lawyer, which is the spinoff, and he hires a lawyer who has OCD. I watched some of the previews, and at least in the previews, I was like, I'm 50-50. Just from seeing the previews, I was like, I don't know if that's good or not. It always makes me nervous. And I also wonder, if people watch if anyone with autism watches The Good Doctor and thinks that it's stigmatizing or thinks that it's an accurate portrayal, I wonder. But I haven't watched it yet. If anybody's watched it, please feel free to let us know, or let me know what you thought of it. It's definitely on the list for Katie and I to watch, to kind of weigh in and talk about and see. So thanks for bringing that up. We will watch and take a look. Yeah, I'm always hesitant, but usually the entertainment media gets it wrong, right? We know this. There's very few and far between shows that accurately portray OCD, other than being quirky and fun, but it makes me a good something. It's my superpower, as opposed to like showing the pain and heartache that OCD can cause. So I'm curious to know if anybody did see it and what they thought. So please feel free to weigh in, but I haven't seen it yet. Jess wrote at 7:18 p.m. Hi from Montana. Why did I think that'd say Montreal? I'm a month into ERP and thought I would never feel better, but I am. I get almost excited for exposures because I see that I can sit with discomfort stronger than I tell myself. I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to let this sit up here, just marinate for a second. I'm going to cook it. I'm just going to let it marinate and let it, the smell waft through the chat box area. I mean, Jess, thank you, number one, for sharing. Two, thank you for being brave and believing in yourself, even if you didn't believe on yourself, like stronger than I tell myself. I think that we all learn our own inner strength, and it's usually more than we thought we were capable of. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It can oftentimes be a dance of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it works. It doesn't mean that ERP works for everybody, and there's other things we can engage in and other modalities of treatment, but it can be really effective to treat OCD. And so, Bradley, if you're looking for some evidence, this is a great start. And Jess, I love that you're seeing some relief in the first month, I think that's amazing. And that's also a testament to your willingness to sit with the discomfort and be kind of, scared and uncomfortable, because we definitely can sit with the discomfort, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and live with the uncertainty. So thank you so much for sharing, Jess. That's freaking awesome. I love that. Um, yeah, everybody. Ron wrote at Jess, OMG. I love that. So Erica wrote, my OCD flared up at 7:20 p.m. Fran. My OCD flared up to an unmanageable level shortly after graduating from college degree in tow, about to take on the hospitality industry. Then bam, pulled out of work and done with that life. I've come to acceptance now. It took me a while to be at peace that the path is different than what I thought it was going to be. I'm actually super blessed. Yeah, for sure, Erica. I mean, I think we've all, no, I don't want to speak for we've all, um, but that has definitely been my journey, um, in a similar way. And, I also think, um, to Betsy's point about, like, even people without OCD, how many people do you know that have switched careers, that have just, went to school and trained for one thing and then just did something completely different? I think that is a normal, natural part. We may have done it for a different reason, but I always find that there is, and I think Chad talked about silver linings. I have yet to find a situation in which I haven't found a silver lining after the fact. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to see the silver lining of some sort of ordeal or episode or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it a tragedy, but something difficult or a challenge or an obstacle. And I think that in those really, really tough moments, if you can remember in those tough moments that there is and will be a silver lining, then it makes those tough moments a little bit more manageable. And I try to remind myself in those tough moments that there's going to be a lesson here at some point. There's going to be a growth opportunity at some point. And I hope it's sooner rather than later. And it may be tomorrow, and it may be in a week, and it may be in a month, and it may be in a year. But something beautiful will come out of whatever it is I'm going through. And so, that always brings me a little bit of hope, or maybe sometimes a lot of hope if it's a situation that seems a little bit untenable. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on a completely different, if you had asked me 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago if I'd be here now, like, no, not at all. I was completely different path. So yeah, and I think that's beautiful. And so I feel super blessed too. So I'm glad we're on the journey together, Erica. Wendy O is 7:20 p.m. wrote, I'm trying to talk yourself. If trying to talk yourself logically out of a mental obsession is not considered ERP, what would an alternative example of ERP be? Let me just read this again. If trying to talk, I'm bad with word problem. Sorry. So, okay. So ERP. So talking yourself logically out of a mental obsession doesn't work, because OCD will continuously poke holes in your logic. Also, OCD in and of itself is illogical, even if it's rooted in truth or something realistic. So you can't try to rationalize or reason with something that isn't reasonable. So that's why, OCD will attach itself to that 0.0001% chance that X will happen. And that's all we'll be able to see. So, if you try to logically approach something, and try to apply logic, facts, predictions, math, whatever you want to apply to it, typically it will not work, because OCD will poke a hole in it, right? Now, that doesn't mean that when you're outside of your trigger and you can see things objectively with insight, which is what you lose when you're really stuck in the thought or intrusive thought or a compulsion, then you'll see things logically from an objective point of view and insight, and things will make sense. But when you're in the moment trying to combat intrusive thoughts with logic, is not an effective strategy. So there's two approaches. One is ERP is the design of ERP is not to prove that something may or may not happen. It's to simply know that it doesn't matter, right? It's to help us learn how to sit with discomfort and live with the uncertainty. That's really what ERP is all about. So you're not engaging in exposures and not ritualizing to prove that, okay, my fear of, getting sick if I don't wash my hands, oh, it's not happening. I didn't wash my hands and I didn't get sick. It's not to prove that. It's simply to get us used to living with the uncertainty that if I don't do X, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know, but I'm going to stop caring whether it does, because that caring whether it does is completely interfering with my life. And it's completely preventing me from living a value driven life and running toward my values and engaging in things that are meaningful to me. So, an example of ERP is you expose yourself to your fear, whatever it is, and then you prevent yourself from engaging in a compulsion. That's the response prevention. I'm going to prevent responding in a maladaptive way. And then sitting with that discomfort, that awful feeling in your chest or your stomach, dizziness, sweaty palms, whatever it is you feel, can be different for everyone. And understanding that those feelings aren't going to hurt you, and that, you know, it's okay to not have certainty around. We don't have certainty around much. Certainty is such an illusion. The only thing I like to say is the one thing we have certainty around is I am certain that if we keep compulsing, our OCD will get worse. I've said that for years. And I think that's ironic in a disease that craves certainty. We crave certainty. We want to prove that whatever it is may or may not happen, that feeling we don't want to have. I want to make sure I don't feel this way. I want to make sure that my mother doesn't die. I want to make sure that I don't go to hell. I need certainty. And the whole lesson of ERP is to sit with the uncertainty, to become a master of uncertainty. And the irony of that is, what is the one certainty? The one certainty is, we've all been there, is if we compulse and compulse and compulse, the OCD gets worse, the obsessive thoughts get worse, and our life gets very, very, very small. So, exposure response prevention, that treatment modality is not logic based in terms of fighting thoughts with logics. It's learning to live with your thoughts and live with the discomfort and get skills and tools around those to not compulse, sit with the uncertainty, and move forward anyway. We'll end it there. But if you have more questions, Wendy, let me know. Oh, suffering. No, I know the way you said that, and that was very fair. Suffering, or I thought you said that you would never have changed anything. That's why I said that. No, for sure. We're on the same page 100%. I know why you said that, and I was just specifying. I wanted you to know that, like, I wasn't choosing, like, oh yeah, no, if I had a choice to, like, be born without OCD, like, I choose OCD. I'm like, hell no, I don't want OCD. But, if I'm gonna have OCD, then, I wouldn't go back and change any decisions or paths in my life because it brought me here. So hopefully that makes sense. So thank you for clarifying, but we're totally on the same page. Jess wrote, for all the hardships OCD has brought me, I'm grateful for the compassion it's helped me have for others, realizing that there's a lot going on for people that we don't see, but I still hate OCD. I think that's valid, and I love that, Jess. I always felt like, Matt B made a reference to the Matrix, but I always felt like having OCD and then getting treatment was a lot like seeing the Matrix, because we can understand that there's this common humanity that everyone shares, that there's a common struggle that everyone shares. It doesn't have to be OCD. It's simply that we all struggle. I feel like I can see the code, and because I have the insight of my own OCD and my own journey and getting better with OCD and still fighting it, on a daily basis, much easier and less interfering, as we know, than it was, but still pops up from time to time. But having that perspective and that insight, and being able to, as you said, have compassion for others and know that they're going through a hard time, and if they're mean or a certain way on social or whatever, that most likely they're going through something too. It's a gift. It really is. That type of insight and perspective is a huge, huge gift. And I mean, the biggest gift OCD has given me is the gift of helping others and understanding how important that is. And I remember giving the keynote speech in 2014. I don't know if I've ever shared this, but I gave the keynote speech at the IOCDF in 2014, or for the IOCDF conference in 2014. And it was the first time I'd shared my story very publicly in front of 2,000 people, and showed videos and the whole thing. And I think after the keynote, I spent 2 hours talking with people. And then I was exhausted, and I went to the elevator bank, and I got in the elevator, and I was going up to my room, and it was like this amazing light bulb went. It just went off. I was like, that's the most important thing in the world. Like, that's all there is. There's nothing else more important than helping other people. Like, this is what life's about. I mean, it was so clear to me. It was so clear. It's like this helps me make sense of my life. Sorry, words are hard at the end of the day, always. This helps me make sense of my life. This helps me make sense of my journey. And most importantly, and it gives me purpose that makes sense in the context of my life and my experiences. But like, what else is there besides helping others? Like, I mean, in that elevator, I came down to what are the most important things in life? Family, friends, love, helping others. That's it. That's my mantra. Family, friends, love, helping others. Do I love working? Yes. Do I love, making money and buying things that I enjoy? Yes. Is that the most important thing in life? No, it's not. It's helping others and being there for family and friends and love, which is helping others. And I wouldn't have reached any of those realizations and conclusions had it not been for the experiences that came before, for sure. Especially as an actor, who was basically like, oh, I'm gonna be. I still wanted to act and change the world. I wanted to make people laugh. That's what I love doing. But the aha moment and seeing the Matrix, so to speak, happened in the elevator at the hotel, and going, oh my God, this is what life is about. This is awesome. And life provides. The universe provides. Like, not to get all a little hippie spiritual, but it's like my career right now, the career that I never imagined 10, 15 years ago, is solely based on my advocacy. Didn't plan for it, didn't design it. I just said, I'm going to help people. And I still want to act and make movies, but I'm going to help people. And then like things just started falling into place, and opportunities presented themselves and niches presented themselves that I never could have imagined. And it just goes to show, like, you reap what you sow. I fully believe that, and I fully believe that what you put in, you get back tenfold. And so it really is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Ron wrote 7:23 p.m. Ethan, that thought hits me too. I have a mental illness. What? Yeah, I feel that same way. It doesn't matter how many times, like, there's a small part of me that goes, oh, that sucks. And how embarrassing. Great answer, Kayli. 7:23 p.m. at Wendy. The problem with logic is that it fuels OCD. As Jonathan Grayson always says, logic does not change feelings. ERP, on the other hand, embraces the uncertainty of the obsession. Basically what we talked about. But thank you for summarizing. That's awesome. And yes, Dr. Grayson is a genius, and a brilliant therapist, and a great book. If you are looking for a good book, Freedom from OCD, Jonathan Grayson. If a good book on ERP specifically in OCD, it's excellent. So I highly recommend. There's a lot of great books out there, but as long as we're talking about John, it's a great book. So Freedom from OCD, if you're interested in Googling that and checking it out. Bradley wrote, only one visit. I will ask that at my next session. Thank you. Yeah, Bradley. I can't hit this home enough. If I'm sure in the first session they did an intake and got the basics, but ERP, acceptance commitment therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, which isn't the first line treatment, but is really helpful. But the exposure response prevention is absolutely key and necessary, as you're hearing. So, definitely inquire about that. And if, don't be afraid if they're not the right person, they don't do that. You can always ask them to refer if they know. If not, Fran will put a link to the IOCDF resource directory, and you can look, for a clinician in your area that does exposure response prevention. Still ask the questions. Oh, Fran is like way ahead of me. How to find the right there. Oh, that's the article. Okay, perfect. But still vet them. Just because they're on the resource directory, you still need to make sure that they're a good fit for you. But as long as you're one visit in, Bradley, so many of us can tell you years and time and money, wasted on the wrong kind of therapy that doesn't help OCD. So definitely make sure. And again, if you have questions, we're here. You can email the IOCDF. You can email me, which I will give that out at the end. So Awesome. Thanks for following up. Appreciate you. Uh, Matt B wrote, giving yourself self compassion when you're going through the icky motions with OCD is such a game changer. It is. I didn't learn about self compassion until 2018. I was a giant asshole on myself, and I think we all can be. I think I knew what self compassion was, perhaps, but I guess maybe thought I was doing it. I don't know, but after a period of time in my life that was really difficult, not OCD related. I kind of discovered self compassion with my therapist and ended up spending a year solely focusing on self compassion and doing a self compassion workbook. And now there's some great workbooks. Kim Quinlan self compassion for OCD workbook is excellent. This was a Kristen Neff workbook on self compassion, but I can't speak highly enough of how much self compassion has, and it's going to be a lifelong. I'm going to be a lifelong student. I don't think I'll ever master self compassion. It's so easy for me to start being a shithead to myself. It's amazing. It's like the first thing you learn about self compassion is like, the way we talk to ourselves is so cruel and so mean. And if anybody else talked to you like that, you wouldn't put up with it. Like you wouldn't continue to engage in conversation. If I were at a car dealership and somebody was like talking to me like I talk to myself, I wouldn't go back to that guy, but yet, I noticed the salesman in my head screaming this awful shit at me. I don't know why I'm cursing tonight. Fuck it. Um, I noticed this, this salesman screaming this stuff at me that I would never stand for as a friend. And I'm like, all right, I see you and I see what you're doing, and that's nice. That's nice. I'm just going to give myself lots of love, and you can make your pitch, and I'm not buying it. And then I wake up the next day and go, you're right. You're right. I'm a terrible person. I'm a piece of crap. I don't deserve any of this. Oh, you're so right. I don't know why. Like, it's just the same. Somehow this whatever I imagine anti self compassion to be continuously tricks me. So I have definitely gotten better, but I think I will be a lifelong student of self compassion. But self compassion for me has legit been a game changer in my own treatment and recovery moving forward, and I know plays a huge role in not only my own life internally, but my external relationships, my relationship with Katie. So self compassion is a massive influence on my continuing OCD mental health journey for sure. Matt B wrote, ERP has helped me so much with recovery and reclaim my life back. Heck yeah. I like how I just finished cursing, but I was like, in my head, I was like, can't say hell, gotta say heck. And I just snorted, which is super weird. Okay, lots of love for Jonathan Grayson. I will share. Sadia wrote, I nearly died in 2020, 40 visits to the ER, half by ambulance, and today I am living a good life. That's a beautiful thing. We're glad that you're here with us for sure. And thank you for sharing. Christy wrote, we don't choose to have OCD, yet we can learn how to handle it. We are not out OCD. Oh, we are not our OCD. I was like, okay, I can figure this out, what she meant. I totally agree with you, Christy. Well said. Valerie in the house. I don't know if Valerie's still in the house, but hi, Valerie, if you're still in the house. Jaber at 7:27 p.m. said, do you have any dating advice for someone with OCD? Yeah, it's a big question. I don't know if you're still here and you want to get a little bit more specific. I mean, that's I think that the piece of advice I would give is, definitely put on your oxygen mask first, meaning like take care of yourself and where you are in your own OCD journey. That will set up the foundation for the healthiest type of relationship that you can have, while you're dating. There's tons of great articles and live streams on dating, relationships, and OCD. We do a ton of panels every year at the conference, both in person and virtual, on dating and OCD, and there's some really, really good stuff. I'd actually like a more specific question. The one thing I'll touch on is I think that as individuals with OCD, we always feel a pull to tell people off the bat that we have OCD, that we feel responsible to do so. And if we don't, we're misleading people. And I just want to put that to bed and be like, that's BS. So the answer is no. That is not true. I'm a firm believer in we are not our disorder. It doesn't define us. And so, if it doesn't define us, if it doesn't make up who we are, then it's not that I'm saying don't bring it up at some point if it's important for them to know, but it's not it doesn't have to be a first or second date conversation. And if you feel like it does, if you feel like I need this person to know what I'm going through because it takes up a huge part of my life, this is my opinion. It isn't always the most popular, but I would say perhaps dating at that moment isn't the right thing to do. Meaning maybe there's some work that you can do on yourself, whether with a clinician, support group, whatever, to get to a place where the OCD isn't so consuming that it will consume your relationship also. Because I will tell you that OCD is tricky and very manipulative, and OCD has no problem with making other people, whether it's family, friends, or significant others, working for it, and having it do compulsions and enabling and reassuring and things like that. And that's kind of the last thing that you want. But beyond that, um, it definitely doesn't define you. I mean, I always say, if you had cancer 5 years ago and you're in remission, would you go on a first date and feel like, oh, by the way, you need to know this about me? It doesn't matter. I think it can come up at the right time. It's different for everybody. And I don't, I remember when I was dating, at first it didn't come up early on, but then I became so outspoken in advocacy. I would meet someone and then they would Google me. And then the next comment on the phone would be, "You were in a psychiatric hospital?" Which was great for my dating life. And I was like, yeah, I was. And here's the situation, and love me or not, and some dates worked out and some didn't. Obviously, that's not everybody's situation. But I actually learned to take it very much with a grain of salt. And if somebody wasn't down with that, then, they weren't right for me. But I think the most important thing is recognizing, and we keep coming back to this theme tonight, that we're not our OCD. So, when you feel that it's right to share, when you get close enough to somebody, that you feel they need to know, for whatever reason, because maybe you are in treatment or therapy, maybe you still are, engaging in compulsions, and that's okay. No, I'm not here saying like you can't have OCD and date, or you have to be a certain level of well before dating. I'm not saying that. That wouldn't be very acceptance commitment therapy of me. What I am saying though is if OCD is taking up a majority of your day, we're spending a lot of time compulsing hours and hours and hours, getting in a relationship may not be the best choice for you. I would choose maybe, working on your OCD in favor of that, but that's just my opinion. So, but if you have a more specific question, please feel free to weigh in, because that's a great conversation and topic, is dating and OCD. And if you want, I'm happy to make that like a primary topic for next community conversation if y'all want to talk about it, because it's a great. Um, Ron, well, great question. We can all date each other. That is true. I always tell Katie, people are like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky you met someone with OCD." I think a lot of situations with couples is one person has OCD and the other person doesn't have OCD. In Katie's and I situation, we both have OCD. I think at first glance, that seems like, wow, that's an advantage. I mean, like, you both know exactly what you're going through. So you'll have understanding with each other and you'll be patient with each other and you get it, And I agree, that is a wonderful component of both having OCD. The other side of that, though, is it's very easy for each other to reassure and enable and make each other's OCD worse, which is why we're both very, very vigilant to not do that. We've both been in each other's therapy sessions. We've both talked with each other's therapists. And we have we work hard at having a very healthy relationship on how to treat each other's OCD when it does flare up and how to not engage it. And it's something we work on and work at. The other part of it that's important to note, and we talk about it, we did a dating panel last year, just the two of us, and hopefully we'll do one this conference this year, is that we may have met because of OCD, but it's not the reason we're together, and it's not the foundation of our relationship. And I think that's the other major component to a healthy relationship, one in which you may both have OCD, which is, yep, it's how we met for sure. We met in an OCD walk, and at first maybe we talked about OCD, but the reason we are together is not because we both have OCD and we both can commiserate together. OCD is actually the least interesting thing in our relationship, and that's exactly how it should be. So LL Snickers. I like that name. That's a super cool name. I feel like that's going to be my new rap name, LL Snickers. Hello, I just wanted to say that your story made a huge impact on my life. I've had OCD since I was 4 and for 18 years went without a diagnosis. Your story gave me hope when I was diagnosed. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really, really appreciate you and appreciate that. And I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad that my story gave you hope, and you sharing that has given me hope. So thank you very much, LL. I appreciate you. Just reading comments. Jennifer wrote, on vacation with my family and so proud of myself. Absolutely. That's huge. It's so tricky because I think that obviously OCD and anxiety and whatever else you may be dealing with from a mental health perspective really makes easy things seem difficult and fun things seem hard. I remember high school, college, the 3 months I was there, in my 20s, and going out with friends was the most stressful thing. I didn't want to go on trips or vacations without my parents because I was afraid something was going to happen to me or them. Like everything that everybody else saw as fun or relaxing was the complete opposite for me, which made me feel completely crazy, because why did I feel this way about the thing that everybody else loves to do? Like, so, you know, you unintentionally raised an interesting point, which is you should be proud of yourself. The worst thing we can do as individuals with OCD is try to compare what we're able to do with other people. And this is something that a trap that I fell into. And so, and what I mean by that is do not diminish or minimize your little wins because other people do them easily. Other people do them easily because they don't have OCD. So, I doubt that someone without legs is going, oh man, walking is hard for me. All those other people walk, but I was born without legs, and God, I'm just going to beat myself up because other people walk. So it's the same thing. It's like, sometimes getting outside is hard. Getting out of bed is hard. Taking a shower is hard. It's so easy for our brain. And this is where self-compassion comes in. It's so easy for our brains to go, why haven't I showered in 5 days? I'm a piece of crap. Like everybody else showers. It's easy for them. And I definitely know that I did that. I did that a lot. Other people could go out with friends, sleep over at friends' houses, went to sleepaway camp, went to college, went on trips with significant others. All that stuff scared the crap out of me. And I felt really ashamed that I couldn't do the things that everybody else was doing. But as I got better, I kind of realized I'm like, why am I have OCD. I have a disease. Why am I beating the crap out of myself for this? It's like having trouble breathing because you have asthma, and then being, beating yourself up for it because everybody else breathes easier. So, if you're in that boat, try not to minimize. I'm a huge fan of little wins because I think little wins with OCD are actually huge wins. And, what's a little win? Did you get out of bed today and take a walk around the block? Did you make lunch? If you're in that dark place where you're really struggling with OCD and you have a lot of anxiety, don't sit there and go, oh, these are things that everybody else does naturally. Like I should be able to do this. That's a huge win, and each win builds on another win. And so, try not to minimize and compare, because I think that's a really, really unfortunate trap to get into. And it's so easy to get into it. And, I still fall victim at times, but just tossing it out there. So, hopefully if you're in that place now, that will resonate. Let's see here. Everybody's telling Jennifer, go Jennifer. I love this group. I love this. I love this stream so much. Everybody's so supportive and wonderfully validating. Sadia wrote, finally believe that OCD is treatable. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the follow-up is, for years at 7:35 p.m. For years, I would go in and out of treatment because I didn't believe that I could heal. It's a process, and I definitely, going to the wrong treatment for so long, by the time I found the right treatment, I was convinced that they couldn't help me. Why should I believe otherwise? Everybody else said we can help you and they didn't. So, just because you're saying, oh, well, we do the right things. Everybody said the same thing. Well, my treatment is the right treatment. Well, oh, you didn't do this workbook. Oh, well, you didn't do this type of treat, so I very much didn't believe I could get better. And without that belief, it's hard. You need that hope. The belief is important because the actual right treatment, ERP, requires us to embrace uncomfortable things, uncomfortable thoughts, uncomfortable feelings. It forces us to make decisions that feel crazy and irrational and feel like they're going against what our very own brains are screaming at us not to do, that are screaming we're being irresponsible for not doing that compulsion or that thing. So how do you get to a place where you are able to do those things? And it's that belief. It's believing that you can heal, believing that you can get better, believing that people have your best interest in mind. They're not looking for you to fail. They're not looking to hurt you. That they want you to succeed. And I think that belief in yourself and that hope is so key and so clutch. So you might be asking, well, how do I get better if I don't believe or I don't have hope? Move your body, bring the body and the mind will follow. I'm a huge proponent of that. You don't necessarily have to buy in at first. Just try, give it a shot. It's all part of the process. But I love that. I love hearing that you believe now and that you're better and you're doing well. I think that's a huge message, because no, I think within the journey of OCD and getting better, I think very rarely is it a straight line for individuals of like, I'm going to start treatment and get better. I wish that was the case. I wish that was. I'm so sorry I'm blanking on your name, but who just started therapy a month ago. You know, that's amazing. And I love that. And I wish everybody's therapy process and journey was that very thing. And I hope as we reach younger and younger people, I legitimately think it will be. As OCD is diagnosed sooner and earlier, and you go to a doctor, you get diagnosed, you get sent to a treatment provider that does ERP, and you start, and it's been 2 weeks, not 5 years. But I lost my train of thought. I'm sure it was really good though. But the gist of it is what I just said in a gisty form. I'm just going to embrace that I have no clue what I'm talking about. But I love you guys. All right, I'm just going to go a few minutes over because we started just a few minutes late. Hopefully, Fran's okay with that. I'm just going to look. I know I'm behind on questions. Oh, wow, lots and lots of comments. Wow, I love everyone so much. Oh, hey, love Lana. Love Lana in the house. Just backing up the comments. Sorry, just man, okay. Just make sure I'm. Yeah, I love it. People are leaving great comments. Hubby knows. Okay, really well said, Ethan. I only read the compliments. Honestly, I'm kidding. See if I find one more question. Okay, let's go with this. 7:44 p.m. And let me just, if you had a question, if I missed your question, again, I will give out my email at the end of this, and you can ask your question. I'll absolutely answer it. But Melissa writes at 7:44 p.m. Thank you for sharing your story, Ethan. I'm a fellow filmmaker who got diagnosed with OCD because of postpartum with my first child, who is now 18 months and a ball of energy. Love that. Never would have been diagnosed had not been for this period that was both beautiful and dark I had all my life. My question is, what would you want to see when it comes to change and portrayals in the media concerning OCD? I would love to see change as well and make a difference like you do in this. I love this question. So first of all, thank you so much for the kind words. Congratulations on your child. And congratulations on where you've come and your diagnosis. And like I said, there's always a silver lining. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. So first of all, it's not out yet, but actually just exec produced a film. It's a short film that is currently on the film festival circuit, and it is about intrusive thoughts, and it's about 18 minutes, and it's really intense, and it's really triggering, and it doubles down on discomfort, and it's doing really, really, really well. I can't take too much creative credit for it. It was a group in the UK that I was brought aboard and helped with financing, but the bottom line is we're starting to create content out there. So to back up now, I think the media, the entertainment specifically, has done a really poor job of glorifying OCD. So what do I mean by that? If we look at movies like As Good as It Gets, or TV shows like Monk, or even just any little show where a character has OCD, they really highlight this belief that it's a quirk, it's almost a superpower, it's kitschy, it's cool, and the OCD directly impacts in a positive way whatever it is that person is doing. So I'm a really good detective because I have OCD. I pay attention to details and I can't drop things and I obsess. So that makes me a really great detective. Um, there's very few pieces of content. The Aviator did a pretty good job of showing Howard Hughes, in the depths of his own OCD, but didn't go into it too much. But there's few pieces of content out there where they really show OCD in its true light. Although Rose Cartwright put out a show, I'm blanking on the name of it, but it was based on her intrusive thoughts. It was on Channel 4 BBC, and it was a really good show. HBO picked it up for a while, and it's pretty on the mark. But mainstream, big film and television, as we talked about. I'm interested to see this episode of The Good Lawyer, but ultimately, I think we need to portray it for what it is. I think that unfortunately, nobody wants to see pain and suffering, right? It's Pure. Thank you, Fran. Yeah, Rose Cartwright's show is called Pure. Maybe Google it. It's been out a while, but it was based on her book, and it's really good. The quirkiness of OCD, what people misunderstand about it, seems entertaining and fun. That's why people say I'm so OCD. And I think the news media is a giant. I didn't see the middle, but that's good to hear. Also, Scrubs did a good job with Michael J. Fox's character having OCD. He was really tormented and tortured. But the news media and infotainment sites and all that have done a horrible job of educating what OCD is. There would never be a character with cancer that highlights the benefits of having cancer and why the cancer makes that person great at what they do, right? There's that doesn't exist. And if it does, it's humorous and a joke, and we can all go, oh, that's hilarious. Yes. Okay. But, there wouldn't be a number of TV shows about that. There wouldn't be a number of TV shows about how, my MS has made me a better, whatever. So I think that it all stems from miseducation, stigma, and misinformation, and the lack of understanding around OCD, which is why it all boils down to advocacy and education. I think we have to start there because everything informs everything else, right? So as long as we keep not talking about it, as long as people keep making this stuff, as long as the media and news keeps reporting incorrectly, then people are going to see the surface level OCD is it's just quirkiness. It's just, being anal. It's just, wanting a neat desk or touching a doorknob, and that's it. And that's cute and that's cool. And it's like, Khloe Kardashian, just like, oh, I organize my jewelry and my OCD really helps me. All of that BS. As long as that continues, we'll continue to see crap come out, which really not only is not a true portrayal of OCD, but it prevents individuals from receiving treatment. It hurts. It hurts our community, and it sucks. I think that we're doing a great job of beginning to address it in a meaningful way. And I mean, we've been addressing it for years, but I think in the last 5 to 10 years, with the advent of social media and more ways to reach individuals, I think we're doing a really, really good job of trying to get the word out there, trying to get on news. I think that I did something like 40 or 50 news interviews last year with local news stations that genuinely cared about what OCD was. They had no idea. They were very interested. I got invited back so they could learn more. It's going to be a slow and steady race, but I think we're doing it, and I think we're on it, and I think that's what's going to happen. Will it ever be perfect? I mean, at the end of the day, entertainment is about both entertainment and making money. It's a business. How many eyes can I get on this? And and that also requires clickbait and like drama. And can I get you interested in seeing this? And can I make it even crazier than it was? And there's always going to be that, but I think it definitely starts with education and destigmatization, and hopefully with that, the narrative around OCD and how OCD is portrayed in film and television and anything else will start to change. Because I guarantee you, if people start seeing OCD for what it is, how many people it actually impacts, how many people are not diagnosed or misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed, and how debilitating OCD is, then it's not going to be just a quirk. It's not going to be just a description. It's not going to be an adjective, like any other disorder or disease. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Sorry to go on that, but that's an important topic. I'm in the industry and I care about that. So I appreciate you asking. All right, with all that, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Just some quick announcements and I'll give out my email. I want to thank the IOCDF and Fran behind the scenes for helping out today. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, you can ask the expert. So if you have questions that I wasn't able to get to, Dr. Liz McInvale and Chris Tronson, both therapists, will be live tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern on all of these channels answering your questions. So please feel free to drop by and they will answer your question. Also, this live stream is one of many. You can visit all the live streams and what we have going on, our schedule calendar at iocdf.org/peace of mind. You can also be sure to subscribe and follow us on all of the social media platforms: Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm glad I have that to go by because I couldn't think of any of them. Finally, if you need resources, if you have questions, you can always visit iocdf.org. And finally, if you'd like to reach out to me, my email address is justethan@iocdf.org. I'm the only one that checks this email. It is a private email. It is only between you and I. I'm fairly caught up. I think I'm behind by a week or two. But please feel free to email me there if you have questions, comments. This is a conversation. If you agree, didn't agree, any and all are welcome. And finally, maybe I'm going to make a note and we'll have a full conversation in 2 weeks about relationships and dating. I think that'd be a cool conversation. Katie's going to be joining me very soon. I don't know if I don't think it's in the next couple of weeks, but maybe we can have a conversation on that when she's here too. So with all of that, and thank you for being awesome advocates in your own right, supporting one another. I love you all so much. So thank you. Stay safe, stay vigilant, feel the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook. Have a beautiful week. I will see you in 2 weeks from tonight. Have a great evening.